Welcome to episode 5 of Behind the Visual, a podcast where we interview the people who are responsible for creating and producing and putting together all the images and videos you see in your world every single day. I am your host, lifestyle and fashion and advertising photographer Mark Hansen, and today my guest is Nathan Richards. Nathan is a fashion photographer who also gives some great photography workshops if you can get in on one of them. So he is currently living in London, and so we're going to have a little interview with him here today. So, dude, thank you for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
First of all,
it's good to hear
congratulations.
Ahead,
congratulations on your visa. Just live and stay there in London, and congratulations even more, or maybe just as much. I don't know how you want to see it, but probably on getting married, man.
Thanks. Yeah. It's a wild one. I'm excited.
That's good. So give us a little background. Tell everybody a little bit about you, what you've been up to, how you got to be a photographer, how you ended up in shooting in London on top of everything else, and just kind of your little ride on what made you want to be a photographer.
Yeah, it's kind of a long story-ish.
That's fine.
What was skateboarding for a living, and then came to England through skateboarding.
You're actually making money skateboarding?
A little bit.
Yeah,
I wasn't like
cool.
I wasn't like Tony Hawk, but
yeah.
but I got to come to England and all that fun stuff, so that was
Very
good.
Cool, man.
Yeah, did that, and then through that, kind of fell in love with fashion a little bit because you get to go to London, and as like a 16, 17-year-old kid who's only seen like North Carolina, you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? Yeah, so there was that, and then I found photography a little bit here as well. And then my dad did sports writing for the local newspaper in Oxford, North Carolina. And so he bought me like a small point and shoot camera and was like, you get to stand on the sidelines and take pictures. And I was like, oh yeah, this is sick. Yeah. And then the newspaper ran my photos. I didn't get paid for any of them, but I didn't care. I was like, oh, I took that. I'm cool. My name's in the newspaper.
At that point, you're just excited somebody published it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, hell yeah.
I'm like shooting covers, baby. Yeah, so I did that. Kind of retired from skateboarding at like, I think I was like 21, something like that.
Yeah.
Started getting
break
sore,
any bones doing that?
Oh, yeah. It was a good time. Like, I probably broke all the fingers on my hands, and my the worst was like tearing the ligaments in my left ankle.
Wow.
Because a break, they said it's fine. It just breaks, you fix it, it's done. But like the ligaments was like at the chiropractor every day, rehabbing it. And I was like, this is boring and expensive.
Does it take longer?
So, yeah, it apparently takes longer. So.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead.
Yeah, and then through when I stopped doing that, I just kind of had a few years of like, back up a little bit. In 2010. I met my now wife here in England at like a skateboard youth camp thing. And
is she a skateboarder as well?
No, she was just a pretty girl that was there. And I was like challenged for the week. And then 9.5 years later, we're married and all that good stuff. But yeah. So met her, and then I stopped skating, and we kept the long distance relationship going. So it was just a lot of like traveling back to England to visit and hang out a bit. And then one of the trips over, I got stopped at passport control because I came over too much and I didn't pay attention to how long I was in the country. And then I decided it's time to go to school. Yeah, so I got back because they let me in the country. It was just kind of a warning thing. Then when I got back into America, I went to Randolph Community College. Yeah, represent. Which is actually like one of the best photography schools ever.
Really?
I think it's like, I can't remember the numbers, but it's like top something on the East Coast.
Wow.
And it's relatively cheap. Like my most expensive semester was like $1,200.
Wow. Better than the Art Institute.
Oh man, that's what I've heard.
I had an assistant one time. I think she said she'd pay like $100,000 to go to Art Institute.
Ooh.
And the worst part was I asked her to adjust a C-stand and she didn't know how to do it. I was like, what are they teaching you?
Oh my God. Yeah.
What are they teaching you?
Like Randolph Community College was sick. Like, because I was always that guy. You don't need school. Just watch YouTube, read a book, teach yourself. But then I explain it now, it's kind of like Swiss cheese learning. So you kind of learn what you want. But when you go to school, you have to learn it all. And then you have this really sick, solid base that you can just do whatever on. So I'm all for it now about going and learning. And then you get to just have all the equipment, because they had a room you can rent everything. Like, dude, you could rent like phase 1 digital cameras for the day, take them in the studio, do a project on them, and then it's like, oh, it's amazing.
Wow,
I kind of want to go back. Like, I think it would be weird now if I went back as a student, but it would be fun. and the teachers there are amazing. They like it. The class sizes were small enough where they knew who you were.
Right. Yeah.
And they would give you one-on-one help. And if you were really struggling, even in life outside of school, they would stay late and try to help you sort it out. And
that's nice.
So, yeah. So there's my commercial for Randolph Community College. You can send the check to my new address in England. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so went there from 2000, I think it was like 14 to 16 or something, and discovered I want to be a fashion photographer. Graduated, opened my business in 2016, and 4 years later, in England.
Yeah, there you go.
And now that my visa's approved, I can open a business in England.
Well, hot damn.
Yeah, excitement.
Well, that's good, man. That's very cool. So what are you shooting for? Like how many, so what did you, give us like, so what did you first start shooting besides the newspaper thing? How did it kind of, like, what was the first couple of things you get as a photographer without really a lot of experience? How do you get in your foot in the door?
Okay, yeah.
Someplace.
So there was the newspaper thing, and then there was kind of, it's that normal thing where it's like, oh, I have a camera and I have Lightroom filters. Let me take your family portrait. That kind of,
right.
Yeah. So I did that like twice, and I'm like, you know what, these family shoots are not really for me. So I only really did those. Out. Oh man, yeah. So
and slap the kids.
Oh man, it's one of those things where you get in trouble quick. But so then I was at school for it, and because I didn't really do anything too impressive with it, besides like taking pictures of my brother because he's cooler than I'll ever be. Like I didn't really do anything until I was in school, and then I was like, do I want to be a photojournalist for the adventure? Because it's like that's the guys I met at like the football games, the baseball tournaments, and all that stuff. And they were like the manly men out there in their like military looking vests with lenses everywhere, and I'm like, whoa, okay, pretty sick. But then I decided I wanted to go commercial because I like the idea of like making art. The photojourn guys do that too, but in another way, like in the studio, kind of creating the image rather than just capturing it.
Right.
So I was like, I think I'm going to do food photography. So I did a semester of food photography, which was fun. But as you can tell, I like to talk.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to talk to like a cheeseburger when it's on set, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, yeah. And it was like 3 hours setup, 5 seconds of shooting, and then just breaking down. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that for me, I've done it 2, maybe 3 times because clients have just forced me to do it. Because there was an art director who really liked me, and I was like, please, God, there's 4 other people who would shoot food. But they're like, no, we want you to do it. So I did it, but I just, it bores me. Because you spend all the time setting up, and then you literally shoot it like once, twice. I'm like, well, how many angles can I shoot this from?
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, I'm done.
And then it was kind of like, shoot it for the composite. So like shoot the bun this way, shoot this way, and then piece them together. And I'm kind of like, okay, I'm done. So the people who do it, they're artists.
Oh, they're amazing.
Got patience.
Yeah.
And then it's like, there's like food stylists who will come in and adjust like breadcrumbs with tweezers. And I'm like, look, dude, I don't have time for that.
Oh, I'm with you on that.
And then I think I was going to start being a fashion photographer as a joke, kind of, because I've never been like fashionable. My little sister she wanted to be a fashion journalist. So she always had like Harper's Bazaar and like a few Vogues laying around. And so there was another girl in the school who was like, I'm going to be a high fashion photographer. And I was kind of like, well, this is cool. You get to have like models hanging out and get to talk. And just like, what I found is fun hanging out with people and getting to take their photos. So I was like, I'm going to do fashion photography. And then everybody kind of just looked at me. All right, cool. Dude, I fell in love with it so hard. Like first day shooting anything. Yeah, so I really just put them together, like reached out to modeling agencies. And then a lot of it was just like using friends,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
people who were a lot more attractive than me. I was like, hey, you want to model?
Yep.
Yeah, and then it was weird because on Instagram, I would just reach out to companies and be like, hey, do you want free photos for your Instagram from a photography student? Just send me t-shirts.
Wow.
And they're like, okay. I don't know why they said okay. My work was not great.
Well, it's free, so
that's
what's the worst that could happen?
That's it. Now I know it's the free that got their attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they would just send me t-shirts, photograph people wearing them, and then it just kind of progressed. And then my final internship at school, I went to a modeling agency in Greensboro and was one of their photography interns. And that was great. I just had months of like filling my portfolio with models.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. And so my work was all bright and pretty because that's kind of how the more commercial fashion of North Carolina is.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then from there, when I graduated school, just was like, I'm going to go towards the more editorial, like Vogue, that kind of shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just been kind of like a slow build up to where I am now. And even now, like you get in London and you're just like, there's guys with $1 million lighting sets. And I'm like, I'm going to take my 2 Paul C. Buff Einsteins and watch what I can do.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's just like, you just do baby steps. Never go backwards. Always forwards, no matter how slow it is. But
yeah, I've always, anytime I'm talking to somebody who says, "Oh, I want to be a photographer," I was talking to one of my assistants the other day, and she's only been out of school maybe a year or two, and she wants to do fashion. And I was like, "Well, if you really want to do it, you can't have a plan B. It has to be plan A all the way. Because if you have plan B, about 2-3 years into this, you're going to fall back on the plan B, and you'll never
quick. Yeah. The biggest things that helped me were when I graduated school, my mom and dad, dude, I would be like either homeless or like working McDonald's if it wasn't for them. Because upon graduation, I think they kind of knew because they're smarter than I am, had the foresight to see he's probably going to move to England and be with Annabelle there. So they're like, yeah, move back in with us. You can turn the garage into your studio and just build the portfolio.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, well, that's sick. So I did that for 3 years and turned that garage into weird multicolored rooms or a white suite. I could turn that into anything I wanted. So yeah, that was
that's
an
great,
amazing.
man.
And
so do you send out? Go ahead.
Sorry.
All right. So at this point, are you sending out like promotional pieces? How do you handle that as far as trying to get new work? Do you send out emails? Do you send out mailers? Do you just make phone calls?
More than being a fashion photographer, I am a professional email sender. Like if I ever need to be a secretary, my resume is so good. Yeah, it's literally a lot of emails. I get a few things that come through Instagram, like, hey, we saw your work, we love your page, do you want to do this kind of shoot, blah blah blah, this kind of thing. And if it fits right, because I'm also kind of picky, like if my name's going to be attached to it, it's got to fit me, and it's got to be like a good fit. I'm not just going to sell myself for money, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it is for like the editorial side of thing. It's I put an idea together, I send it out to a few different magazines that would fit that vibe, and see if somebody bites at one. And it's like fishing.
Oh yeah, I get it. I mean, I send out tons of emails, and if you get a response back from them, you're like, oh wow, hey, somebody's paying attention.
Yeah, even if it's like a no, I'm like, cool, thank you for clicking on my email.
Oh yeah. I was with an art director the other day, and the art director, we were talking about it a little bit, and I said, do you get emails from my rep or whatever? And the art director said, I don't know, because this is a lot of times this is what I do. And the art director pulled out their phone and pulled up their emails, and there was one that said new photography or something, and I watched it go straight into the delete, into the trash can. She was
Oh
just like,
my gosh.
she was just like, I just don't have time, because she had
Right.
so many. She's like, I don't have time to, go through all of these
Yeah.
and check them out.
I
So I
guess,
think
yeah.
it's one of those where the subject line has to be something that catches their eye, as opposed to
Right.
just, hey, new shots. So I was like, what are you going to be
Right.
like? Hey, you suck.
Right.
And they're
That'll
like,
make you
what?
open it up real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
it's
we have your kid. And they're like, wait a minute.
please click on me.
Yeah. Click on
Yeah,
this and
it's
you'll get your kid back.
yeah. Okay, I think I might not approach it that way. I don't
Yeah,
know if I'll
probably
get
best.
blacklisted. See how quick I get blacklisted from the community.
I'm going to go with day
Nathan
one.
Nathan Richards is no longer around for faking
Yeah.
kidnappings.
Yeah.
Yeah, be a good way to get
Uh,
attention though.
absolutely. Is there a big, have you found a difference in like shooting in the US as opposed to shooting in London or in the UK?
Yeah, it's well, back home, you know how it is in North Carolina. Everything's very commercial,
Yes.
and so
Yeah.
it's like everybody needs to be smiling and holding a cup of coffee, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And here, everybody's very happy to be sad in their photos. Like it's more of the editorial side where it's there is the happy fashion as well.
But it's
But
very similar. It sounds like it's very similar to New York.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that, and the fashion industry is so big here
Hmm.
that, like in North Carolina, you kind of know most people that are in the fashion photography or fashion industry.
Oh,
In
yeah.
here, it's just kind of like, I mean, every time I go on set, I'm meeting somebody new. And most of the time, it's like, where are you from? And it's some other country. I'm like, whoa. And then
That's
I'm
pretty
like, oh,
cool.
yeah. I'm like, to be fair, I'm from another country as well. So this is usually it's like the UN on a photo shoot. So it's pretty
Well, that's
cool.
cool though. I would think it'd be, you get all those different perspectives as well,
Yeah.
on there. And
Yeah. You start picking out like different countries. Like Vogue Italia is so much different than British Vogue. Like Vogue
right.
Italia is like the real editorial, like they're, in my opinion, they're leading the fashion story way. Like it doesn't have to really sell a certain brand. It doesn't look like it's just an editorial, and it can be dark and edgy and amazing. But
So
yeah,
you probably made the right move by moving.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
told by multiple people, even some of my like heads of photography at school, they're like, you don't belong in North Carolina, man. Once you get your portfolio together, just get out. And I was like, all right, cool, thanks, man.
Well, it's good that you took that advice and did it. I have some friends I've
Yeah,
told that to, and they just won't move.
yeah. I
They just
feel like
refuse
I've been
to.
told everything is said or done for a reason. So take it on as a lesson. So when 10 or 11 people tell you the same thing, it's probably something you need to listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, but then on the flip side of that, I get the people that are like, I'm just a new guy, so they'll be like, oh, you won't make it in England. You should probably figure out another career choice or stuff like that. Or
Yeah, but
yeah, but it's all good. I got that in North Carolina too. So
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think my parents and my grandmother, for the first 5, 10 years I was doing this, they're probably like, "When are you going to get a real job?"
right,
You know.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
well,
yeah. Luckily, my support system, as in my wife and mom and dad, they've all seen it as a real job. Um, and their big thing in life was just do what you love, that kind of
yeah,
scenario.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I still don't feel like I'm going to work. When I'm sending emails all day, that feels like
Oh
work.
yeah,
But
that's
when
work.
I'm holding the camera, I'm like, this is playtime. This is good.
Yeah, that's
And
the way I feel. Yeah, I hate sending the emails. I hate making the phone calls to follow up on the emails.
right,
But you know, it's part of the job, and you got to
yeah,
do it if you want to get the work. So
it's
tell us a
true.
little bit about how. So when you do a shoot, walk us
Yeah,
through from conception to the final images or deliverables or whatever. How does that all work for you, as far as even as coming down to booking hair and makeup or styling and all that kind of stuff? How
yeah.
does that all work on your end?
So it varies. If I'm putting the shoot together and I'm kind of pitching it to a client, it usually comes through, I read fashion magazines every day. I just like to stay involved and kind of know what's going on. And I'll pull a bunch of different ideas, put an outline of this brief or how I want the story to look together. And I've met some really amazing people here, stylist and hair and makeup wise. And so they're kind of my starting point. So I kind of throw them ideas. Hey, how would you feel about us working on this and doing this? And I love them because they'll straight up tell me that's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Don't waste any more time on it. Okay, cool. In the trash can.
Well, it's nice to have those people in your life because it's way better than having the ones say, oh, okay, this works. And they know it's bad, but they don't tell you.
See, I'm like that puppy that jumps at everything. So I'm like, I get to be a photographer today. This is fun. Let's go do it. And they're just like, calm down, bro. You're good. I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah. But when you get hired on, so I just got recently asked to shoot this editorial on Monday. So that's completely different. They take care of hair and makeup. They've got the story they want. You're just a puzzle piece.
Right.
So with when they hire you in, I approach it as a few meetings discussing lighting. What are the influences for the look they want? If they have pieces or pictures that have influenced their idea for this shoot, they either email them to me or they have printouts when we meet in person and go over those. And then I kind of talk to them about how I would see it happening. Here's how I would personally like this, or I wouldn't shoot it in this location. I would say go here because it tells the story differently. So I do more work when I'm pitching an idea. So yeah, and Instagram is the best tool because you can just find anybody around and send them a message. It's great. So yeah, Pinterest, get a big board together of ideas and stuff like that. Then reach out to my core group of people, and hopefully they're available. And then then I just kind of put it together as a PDF and send it out to multiple magazines and see what happens.
That's good. Hey, have you found, like, when you shoot for a client, have you found that a lot of times what they send you as a go by of what they're looking for and then what you actually end up shooting on set aren't always the same, or is it usually pretty close to what they send you? Because I've had some where they'll send it and they'll go like, oh, this is what we want. We really love this. But then when you get on set, like, oh, wait, we can't shoot it like that. I'm like, well, this is what you wanted. And they're like, yeah, but we can't see this. So we need it, or whatever it is. It ends up changing into a totally different shoot from what you would discuss for the last week or two before.
I've run into that. I usually try to have a few meetings or like WhatsApp text them enough where I kind of can get the feel of what's going to happen. But it does happen when you get on set. Oh, what if we try it this way? Well, that would require a few more things that I do not have with me. So should we try it? Because I can make a phone call and get that gear delivered. But but I think mostly everything's been pretty straightforward.
Well, that's good to hear.
But I've only been here since August, so it's coming.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least you're already getting work. I mean, I'm sure there are people who show up there in August and still haven't gotten anything. So
yeah, the best marketing tool has been the fact that I have not been able to make money since August because on the fiance visa, you can't have an income, so you can't make money when you're here on that visa. Yeah. Wow. So I'm like, that's awesome because money is not important at all, right? Yeah. So my sugar mama of a wife.
Well, thank God for her.
I shouldn't say that. Oh man, yeah, she's amazing. And she's super supportive too. She's like, I'll take care of us. You just get the business moving and you get to where you need to be. And I'm like, I love you. And now we're married. But I forgot what I was talking about. I started talking about my wife.
Well, you're talking about not making any money.
That's it. Yeah. And so I never market myself as the free photographer because then you're always just going to be the free photographer. But yeah, I have people that'll reach out. we really like your work. What's your rate? Or we only have a small amount of money. And then when I hit them with well, I legally can't make money until the spouse or whatever visa that just came in today. So if you're listening to this in the future, I'm no longer free. So I have to tell them that. And then it's good. It's like a blessing in a way, because then there's no worry in their mind. They're not wasting a huge budget on me, not knowing who I am. Like worst case scenario, they just have to reshoot it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, knock on wood, everybody seemed to have liked me so far, and it's gone pretty well. I did get told I talked too much. I got told I talked too much. And it was just when I was assisting a guy. He was like, "Oh, the magazine said you were too hyper," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can see that."
Okay, all right.
But the accent, yeah, I get called Forrest Gump a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, mostly at Fashion Week. But it's really good because it makes me stick out in people's minds. So like,
oh yeah.
So for like the past 2 years, the same security guard has recognized me at like the front of the big British Fashion Council runway building. I'll walk up and he's like, "Oh, it's Forrest Gump. He's back." And I'm like, "Hey guys."
Well, that's good. I guess it works out in your favor then.
Look, I love it because I stand out in a room and
yes,
I talk really loud.
Okay.
And because I feel like in England, everybody's, especially in a crowded room, everybody seems to be more quiet. And they talk a bit. And I walk in, I'm like, "Hey y'all." hey Nathan. So yeah. Yeah, and then they don't like being spoken to on the train at 6 a.m.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Oh
yeah.
Man, headphones go in real fast. So, yeah, my bad. Look, when you're from the South, I try to tell people, you go out to the grocery store, you're talking to everybody, you're waving at everybody. That's just how I roll.
Just the way it is.
Spread the love,
right, man. Is there anything about your job that you wish people knew, that maybe they have a misconception about when it comes to being a fashion photographer or just a photographer in general?
I do get, like, if I'm complaining about my day, which I don't really complain that often, but you're in this industry, you know, there are things that really just annoy you a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, because then they're like, "Oh yeah, Nathan, you have such a hard job of holding a camera and standing around models all day." And I'm like, okay, I get it. When you're a school teacher, like, yeah, you win the complaining contest. I don't have to deal with kids' parents or kids being sick around me, you know. But it's like, it's a lot of work at some points. Yes, there are really cool benefits to like being invited to London Fashion Week. Like that's coming up in a few weeks here. Yeah, you get to go and sit front row and watch the new designs happen, and you get to meet really cool people. But then they don't see the million emails you've sent out, the countless hours frying your eyeballs staring at a computer screen, and then getting to London really early. And I'm not cool enough to have a private car yet, so I got to either Uber or take the underground everywhere. Yeah. You know, when I say it out loud, these complaints really don't sound that bad.
They're really, yeah, they're not. Well, I remember I've had the same thing. Like my father-in-law told my wife that I was just an international playboy and that I really didn't do much. And I had a shoot, and he has a 90-acre farm. And so we had a shoot, and we needed a farm, and we were shooting both. It was for a client that needed both studio and location all shot at the same time.
Yeah.
So luckily his garage was big enough and tall enough that I could set up the lights so we could do all the studio stuff in there. And then we shot all the location stuff out in all different places around the farm.
That's cool.
Got there at 7 a.m., finished shooting right around 7 p.m. because we were waiting on the sun to go down, and it was spring sometime. When I came in, he had a different story altogether. He's like, "Oh, wow." He had a totally different opinion of me. I think he finally had some respect for what I do because he watched me work that day. The worst part was my brother-in-law is at the time on the masonry company. So he's laying brick all day long. So he stops by the house and comes in, and my father-in-law says, hey, Mark was here working all day. He works really hard. You should have seen how hard he was working. I was like, hey, no. Let's stop. Cut that right now because I'm not
Right.
laying
Yeah.
brick.
Yeah.
I'm not like
That's it.
hauling brick, making dudes, fixing where they screwed up and, having to
Right.
do all the
It
different things he had to do.
it's a whole different type of work. But
Yeah.
I feel like what we do is a lot like I get mentally exhausted just as much as physically tired
Yes.
because when you have to be on, you're on the whole day with no stopping. Even in lunch break, usually when you call lunch, you're emailing clients or whatever that have
Hmm.
emailed you and are upset that you've not emailed them back immediately, or you're trying to trace the model that never showed up for the first half of the day,
Right.
and you're like, where are you? Are you alive? um yeah, or you're even just talking to your assistants, getting things ready for the next half of the day. um there's no off button. And I
Right.
feel like that's one thing people don't get too is they're like, oh, you get to work 1 day a week. And I'm like, well, no, owning a business means you're never not working. Like, I'm
Exactly.
always emailing. Like, I would love not to be on Instagram for like 20 seconds. That would be amazing. But
I'd love to not be on Instagram at all, if I
man, there
could.
there are days where I'm like, can I just like give my cell phone away to some guy on the street and be like, you take it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a lot of communication, but that's the biggest thing I think is people don't realize how mentally we have to be on as creators all the
Yes.
time, because it's you can do all the pre-planning you want, but you show up, something's going to be wrong. It's photography. It's 80% problem solving, and then 20% you get to pick up the camera and hit the button.
Exactly. That's what I say
Um,
too. Yeah.
man, it's like
And you
you
got to
show
solve the
up.
problem without letting the client know that there's a
Oh
problem.
yeah,
Usually,
yeah,
yeah, you
yeah,
can't be freaking out over there going, "Oh God, we don't
right.
have." You just got to go, "All
As
right,
the
this is
vein in my
fine."
forehead's pulsating,
Yes,
everything all right? I'm great, man. This
we're
shoot's killing
fine.
it. We're rocking and rolling. Yeah, it's like I just recently had a shoot where it was like I don't know, like 6 hours before we were supposed to be shooting. Wardrobe fell through. There was no wardrobe, and I was like,
Oh,
okay, cool. Let's figure this out. Yeah, and I was told like, oh, just cancel it, but I can't pull out on a client or even it was just a small test shoot. It wasn't
yeah,
even. But I don't know. I take everything so seriously. If my name's gonna be on it or my name's being talked about,
yeah,
it better be in a good way. So
right.
I was like, no, we're gonna figure it out. And the dude, the stylist, did great. He was like, okay, I've got this figured out. Pulled stuff from his own closet. He rocked and rolled, and we did it. We shot it in the end. Um, yeah, but it's one of those things you never say that you're in trouble. You just smile and nod
You
and
just
say
go with
you're
it.
gonna get the best freaking images you have ever seen.
Yeah, I had
Yeah,
something similar happen to me. We were in Aruba and we were waiting on clothes to come in. So we were shooting
yeah.
for one magazine, and we were trying to shoot some other stuff while we were in the country. So they got caught up in customs, and we had
Oh,
the model and all ready to shoot this one
yeah,
day. So we were just like, you know what? Come on, we're gonna go to this other. I had a spot I wanted to shoot just for me anyway. So we went and
yeah.
grabbed her, took her. The stylist found some cool clothes and was able to put together like 3 or 4 different outfits. And we
Oh,
shot
nice.
and we went and shot some really cool stuff. And it worked
That's
out because the
awesome.
model was still. We had her booked for multiple days. She was there,
Yeah,
so we just shot it the next day. We worked on getting the clothes out of customs, and they got out
right.
finally. They let us have them, and it all worked out. But yeah, it's one of those things where
Oh,
there's always some kind
yeah,
of
man.
issue. It seems like.
There's always something going on. It's yeah, for that test shoot with the clothing, I was trying to sort out clothing, and I'm like, once I sort this, I can breathe for a minute. Sorted that out, took a breath. Then the next thought was, okay, I've got to go have this visa meeting to try to stay in this country with my wife. Sorted that out. That was done. And then my next thought is, oh, I need to find hair and makeup for the shoot that's happening in what time is it right now? It's happening tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So yeah, it's always something. But it's fun at the same time. Like I feel like if
Oh
I had a
yeah.
job where I didn't have this, I would be so bored.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I had a real job for a minute coming out of college, and I was bored, and I was constantly trying to
Yeah.
figure out a way to get out of the office. I was like, hey, who wants me to go
Right.
get donuts? Who wants me to go get lunch? I'll do anything to get out of this office,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Like somebody made a joke on set the other day. Oh, you need an intern that just runs because I drink a stupid amount of coffee. It's unhealthy the amount of coffee I drink. Um, so you just need an intern that goes and gets you coffee. And I'm like, no, because those are my 2 minutes a day that I don't look at my phone. I just go get a cup of coffee and walk back. That's my time. So
Yeah, you got to have that time where you actually get away from the
gotta have it.
computer or your phone and
That's it.
just, if nothing else. I was listening to a consultant years ago,
Yeah.
and the consultant said basically, as a creative, you need to take time where you do something besides just work on your business. Like maybe take a day where you go and just walk through the woods, or you just go and see
Right.
movies, or
Yeah. Yeah.
something to inspire you or whatever. So yeah, I definitely agree with trying to get
Yeah.
away
I
a little
get
bit.
I get told I need to turn off work mode. Now that
Yeah,
I'm married, I get told by the wife. And
yeah,
before it was the wife, it was like when I was back with my mom and dad, it was mom and dad because it'll be like family dinner time and I'm in mid stress mode, the vein in my forehead, and I'm
yeah.
texting or emailing somebody, and they're like, you know what? If you don't send something for 30 minutes, the world's gonna keep turning. I was like, oh dang it, you're right. All right. But
Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, actually,
me
that
and
just reminded me. I got an email I got last night on my way back from New York. I was like, oh, I got to respond to that.
oops.
So, what's the best? What do you think is the best part of being a photographer in your job? What do you enjoy the most?
Ooh. I don't know. I think it has to be the thing that makes me the happiest is when I shoot something for somebody who doesn't really know how it's gonna turn out. Um, so there was a stylist I was kind of trying to impress. I was like, okay, because at the first part of the day, they didn't realize I was the photographer, and we were outside. I was having my coffee, and they were having a cigarette, and they're like, whoever this effing photographer is wants to go out, and it's cold in England, guys. It's pretty cold, and they're like, they want to shoot outside for part of the day. What an idiot! And I was just kind of like, yeah, that's me. And he just was like, and walked inside, didn't even say a word. And then I was shooting tethered to a laptop so the team behind me could see. And I shot a few images, and then he walked over and patted me on the back. He was like, "Oh, you're pretty good." And I was
Yeah.
like, "All right, the rest of the day is gonna be good. I'm happy." So yeah, that's my favorite thing is just people getting excited when they see my work.
When I see it, yeah.
Um, yeah, I've had people that are like telling me, "Oh, you can make so much money in fashion photography," and it's just that's kind of an afterthought, or like, "Oh, the rates aren't what they used to be," and I'm like, "Well, as long as I can afford and take care of my family and keep affording making art, I'm cool with it. Whatever. I'm not here to be a billionaire."
Well, I think that's probably the best way to go about it. And this, when you're talking about the stylist, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have two stories very similar, two totally
All
different
right,
places.
yeah.
There's Miami and New York on both of
Complete
them.
opposite. I love it.
Miami, I'm down there shooting, and a model comes in, and it's a test shoot. So when I'm first getting started, I'm trying to build my book.
Yeah, yeah.
The model comes in, and she says, "So where are you guys from?" And I have a hair and makeup person with me, and I was like, "Well, we're from North Carolina. We're from Charlotte." And she goes, "Oh, well, I hope you get something for your books out of this." I was like,
Yeah, I've gotten that.
"Oh, okay." And then we shot everything. A week later, I see her walking down the street, and she stops me and tells me how great the photos were. She was
Right.
amazed. She was so happy with it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Same thing in New York. I walked into an agency maybe a year later. So I'm still
Okay.
just getting started, still building my book. Walk
Right.
into an agency in New York asking for some models, and they say, okay, here are a couple we can give you to shoot.
Yeah.
And I got a stylist, and the stylist was with me on the shoot. So we're sitting there, we're shooting like day two of, because I did like 2 days of test shooting with these agencies people.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And the stylist on day two tells me, it's like, when you walked in and said you were from Charlotte or you were from North Carolina, our first thought was, oh my God. All right, well, just give them somebody. Hopefully,
Right.
you're gonna go there, get some good clothes. So if nothing else, maybe as long as he's half decent, we'll be
Right.
okay. Because I don't expect a whole lot out of this. And he said, "But
Right.
these are really good images. This is you're doing a great job." I was like, "Yeah, just because I'm not from New York or I'm not from Miami doesn't mean
Right.
we're not good at our jobs. Because I know some
Right.
New York photographers who are not good at their job,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
still will charge models $1,000 for a test shoot, and the
Oh
model
man.
comes
Yeah.
back going, "Wow, there's nothing here I can use."
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they just never do anything with those images. But
right.
yeah, I've gotten the whole, where are you from? North Carolina. Is there fashion in North Carolina? I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah. If you look for it, it's there.
yeah. If
I'm
you
like,
look hard
fashion's everywhere.
enough.
It's not as prominent as it is here, but
Yeah,
it's there.
you have to search a little bit for it in North
Yeah, yeah.
Carolina, but you can find it.
It's
Yeah,
but I think Instagram's helped with that a lot because especially being here, it's kind of like they get to see my work through Instagram before they
yes,
even know who I am, like a short, balding, hobbit-looking fella. They just see my work. They don't see that, and so and then when they meet me, I've gotten the whole like, oh, I thought you would be taller. I'm like, well, sorry.
By the way, that Peter Lindbergh stuff you shot, the Peter
Oh
Lindbergh
yeah,
style
yeah, yeah.
images that you did, that's whatever the salute to Peter Lindbergh. This is some great stuff, man. That's really
Thanks,
nice
man.
images. Because I think
That
the first one I saw, I can't remember exactly. I think it was more of headshot almost type black and white of the girl.
yeah.
And I almost thought it was a Peter Lindbergh shot at first.
Yes.
So I looked at it, I was like, damn. And I was looked at it and I said, oh, wait, that's not. Yeah, you did a great job on that.
Thank you.
That was
That
really
was such
nice.
like a. I just had the idea because when I heard of when Peter Lindbergh passed away, he was such a big influence on my work and kind of more on the human side of things. Like it, he had this relationship with these models where they were real people. He cared about them, and that's
Right.
kind of how I kind of approach business too. Is if 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 somebody doesn't want to do a certain shot, they don't have to do a shot. It's fine, whatever. Like it's not going to bother me. Um, yeah, and so when I heard of him passing away, I was like, I need to do a piece for some magazine, something, just shoot it. Uh, and there's a magazine here in London, and they were like, okay, if you want to do it, it won't be published. It's going to be an online piece because there's not much they could sell out of that idea.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Online, I can still get a team together. Um, and so the model for that, Lisa, she's a really good friend of mine and my wife's. I've shot her a few times. So I knew we would have that rapport and that kind of relationship where I could take her out like Mersey, which is like the coast here. It was freezing that day. We were friends enough where I knew she wouldn't hate me by the end of it too much.
Well, that's good.
And then the stylist, Claudia, was amazing. She pulled some really great, and she's worked with Peter. That's the thing that
Oh,
really
wow.
caught my attention. So both the model and the stylist had worked with Peter Lindbergh at different times. So the model
Well, that definitely
got to
explains a little
go.
bit then.
Yeah, yeah. So the
Yeah.
model got to go to one of his exhibitions in Germany, I think it was, and actually like walk through his show with him and got to hear him talk about the pieces he shot. And the stylist, when she was assisting at the time, like she assisted on a big like celebrity type shoot with Peter Lindbergh. So she assisted the styling on that. And so I didn't know that. And that's the thing that was weird is I didn't know that when I wanted them to be part of the team.
Right.
And then on set, we were just sitting there. I bought everybody sandwiches. So we were just sitting there having a sandwich. And they're like, oh yeah, I've met Peter. And she was like, oh yeah, I've met Peter too. And I said, am I the only person on set today that's never met Peter? And I was the only person on set who never met Peter. So I got to hear some cool stories, and they said he was as nice in person as he leads on. So
Well,
it
that's good to
was really
hear.
good. It brought a
Yeah.
really good feeling to the overall day.
Very cool, man. Yeah. All right. So the last question before I ask everybody, give me something what's the strangest experience you've had on a shoot, or the weirdest thing, or the best
Oh
story
my
that you
god.
have
Okay.
from a shoot?
Oh my god, there's so many. I don't know. I always end up dancing on set. I just get too excited. People probably think that's pretty weird. I feel it pretty normal for me, but I don't really know. I've not had too many weird experiences. I had one where some random, and it wasn't even part of the shoot. I was out shooting and some mom pushing a baby in a stroller or a pram, I think they call it here. she walked up and was like, "Are you Nathan Richards?" And I was like, "Yeah." I figured, oh, well, I'm about to get a ticket because we don't have a permit to shoot here. I was kind of like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Oh, I follow you on Instagram," and I was
Oh
like,
wow.
"What?" Like, I never know what to say to that, so I'm like, "Thank you for caring. That's cool." Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, that's really weird that I saw you out here," and I was like, "Yeah, that is pretty strange." So that's one that kind of sticks out in my mind a little bit.
Well, that's kind of cool. You got your little bit
Yeah,
of celebrity going on
right.
there.
Yeah, yeah. With the whole, so I get this a lot here. Is I think I've seen you before, and I always try to make it awkward by telling people you're probably thinking of Brad Pitt because I get that a lot. And then I like watching them kind of backpedal and try to figure out the nicest way to say no.
No.
They just kind of do this. Yeah. But yeah. Honestly, I've not had too many weird run-ins or anything bad happening on set.
Well, that's a
I
good
can't. I
thing.
can't. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I'm sure it's gonna happen.
Oh, at some point,
Um,
something weird will happen.
I've had no wardrobe show up, so I had to find random material in the studio and tied a bow around the girl's top and rock and rolled that way. But yeah, honestly, I can't think of anything too crazy.
Well, that's good, man. Nothing wrong with
I must
that.
be boring or something. I don't know.
It'll change at some point. You'll
It'll
have some
it'll
kind
come.
of
Yeah.
something will happen that you'll be like, oh wow, that was interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy here the other day, and I said, I feel like I've been shooting for a long time. Like, I'm ready to shoot for a big magazine. He's like, "Oh, how long have you been shooting?" And I said, "Well, like almost 4 years." And he just kind of laughed while drinking his coffee. He's like, "Baby steps, man." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Yeah. That's it. Well,
Yeah.
good,
And
man.
then
Well, hey, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna be told. The other weird thing was somebody thought I was like 38 years old 2 days
I
ago, 3 days
thought,
ago.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had to show ID to prove that I was only 27.
It's the lack of
And then I
hair.
looked, it's the lack of hair and the fact of probably way too much caffeine. But, I take it. If I shave, I look 12. So I have
Hey.
a pretty beard going on right now.
Well, the energy should have been enough. Most 38-year-olds don't have that kind of energy.
See, I feel like a little puppy. I'm just bouncing around, hoping
Yeah.
everybody's having a good time. And yeah, I try to give models social media breaks on set. Who does that, right? That's me.
Well, dude, thank you very much for being on here. I
Absolutely. Thank you for having
appreciate
me.
you doing it. And anybody watching or listening, if you guys are enjoying the podcast, please subscribe to it, like it, share it with your friends. Put it up on social media, whatever you need to do, so we can keep this thing rolling along. So again, dude, thank you. Congratulations on the visa. Congratulations
Thank
on the
you.
marriage. Hopefully, the job continues to get better and better and better, and you shoot
I
for,
appreciate it.
British Vogue, Vogue Italia, whoever, sometime in the near future.
I'll take
and,
any of them. I'll take any
yeah.
of them. If you're listening,
Yeah.
come at me.
Bazaar, whatever it is, man.
Yeah.
Good luck on all that. And thank you again for doing this.
Thanks, man. I hope I didn't ramble on too much and I
No,
actually answered a question or two.
You did absolutely great job. Thank you.
Yes. Sweet. And if you're ever in London, come on over. I've got a very small flat here, and you can sleep on the couch because that's the only other room in here. So, yeah.
Sounds good to me, man. Sounds good. Thanks, dude.
All right, man. See you later.
See ya.